Some men spend their lives chasing power, craving the weight of crown upon their heads. Others, however, are quietly melting that crown down into bullets, symbols of resistance against the very systems that demand conformity. Here lies the strange contradiction of the Sigma male, a man born with the natural traits of leader, vision, independence, an unshakable calm under pressure, and almost supernatural ability to see through chaos. Yet one who vanishes the moment you try to place a title on him or seat him upon a throne. Why? Because while the world celebrates loud, performative leaders, those who bark orders from podiums and thrive on attention, the Sigma male operates differently. He doesn't seek to manage people. He seeks to dismantle the very idea that people need managing in the first place. And here's a harsh truth that might shake your perception of leadership. Over 70% of people in leadership roles are not actually effective leaders. They're simply the loudest in the room, the ones who know how to play the game of optics. Meanwhile, the Sigma male, arguably more capable, is somewhere in the wilderness, building empires in silence, avoiding meetings like they're contagious. So if you ever wonder why the man with all the qualities of a leader refuses to take the wheel, the answer is about to unfold. And no, it's not because he's shy. It's because he sees things others don't. And frankly, he has no interest in babysitting grown adults who need motivational speeches just to function. Let's break it down. 1. He'd rather be underestimated and controlled than overestimated and owned by responsibility. He'd rather be underestimated and in control of himself than overestimated and owned by responsibility. This is the core of the Sigma male. He isn't chasing applause or scrambling to impress others with how important he looks. In fact, the second you try to slap a label on him, especially one that comes with expectations, deadlines, and people constantly knocking at his door, he's already looking for the exit. It's not that he fears power. He fears what power does to people. On the surface, leadership seems glamorous. The title, the authority, the control. It feeds ego. But the Sigma male doesn't operate on ego. He operates on clarity. And he knows the moment people start treating you like a savior, they stop taking accountability. They lean on you for everything, direction, decisions, even emotional support. What was supposed to be leadership quickly turns into being a human band-aid for other people's lack of discipline. What does the Sigma male value above all else? Personal freedom. That's his currency. That's what he protects. Meetings, office politics, people-pleasing. It all feels like selling his soul, piece by piece. And for what? The admiration of people he wouldn't trade lives with? The hollow satisfaction of being needed by those who crumble the second he stopped holding their hand? That's not power to him. That's a life sentence disguised as a promotion. He knows his silence carries more weight than most people's speeches. He knows he can walk into a room, say one sentence, and shift the entire atmosphere. But that doesn't mean he wants to run the show. He'd rather observe from the shadows, calculate what truly matters, and make surgical moves when no one's expecting them. People mistake this for indifference. It's not. It's extreme selectiveness. He knows his energy is valuable, and he won't waste it babysitting adults who only want a leader, so they don't have to lead themselves. He doesn't need recognition. He doesn't need titles. He needs room to move quietly, efficiently on his own terms. Let others chase the spotlight. He'll keep the kind of power that can't be seen, stolen, or controlled. 2. He can lead better than most, but prefers proving over preaching. He can lead better than most, but he has zero interest in telling people what to do. Instead, he'd rather show them how it's done and let their own instincts kick in. Sigma males don't waste time making grand speeches or throwing their weight around to prove a point. They are the point. Their work ethic, discipline, and focus speak louder than any motivational quote ever could. While others are busy building an image, the Sigma male is busy building himself. And that difference is impossible to ignore. People start following him, not because he demanded it, but because he's quietly living at a level they can't stop staring at. There's no flash, no performance, just raw capability and consistency. He makes excellence look effortless, and that's what draws people in. Not charisma, not charm, competence. In a world drowning in noise, the Sigma male becomes a walking filter. He doesn't preach values, he breathes them. That kind of presence doesn't need a microphone. It commands silently. Most people need recognition to stay motivated. Sigma males are wired differently. They don't need applause. They don't even need to be seen. What drives them is an internal fire to get it right, to master what they touch, to never settle for mediocrity. That self-respect radiates without effort. And ironically, that's what pulls people toward them. Not because he asked for followers, but because people feel safer around someone who actually walks the talk. He knows real leadership isn't about talking the loudest. It's about moving in a way that makes people rethink how they move. And when someone like that enters a room, everyone notices, even if he's not trying to be noticed. 3, he refuses to be a moral crutch. He refuses to be a moral crutch because he knows what that role really turns into: a full-time therapist guilt sponge, an excuse validator rolled into one. Traditional leadership often disguises emotional codependency as guidance. People start leaning too hard, asking for advice not because they want to grow, but because they want someone else to take the blame if things go wrong. The Sigma male sees straight through it, and he wants no part of that exhausting cycle. He's not cold, he's just done enabling weakness masked as vulnerability. He doesn't mind helping someone who's genuinely trying. But the moment he senses learned helplessness, the moment he sees someone outsourcing their moral compass, he detaches without apology. Sigma males don't sign up to be the catch-all for everyone's guilt trips and bad decisions. He's not going to talk you through your 15th existential meltdown over something you already know you should have handled. And honestly, it's not even about being harsh. It's about respecting growth. He knows people don't evolve when they're constantly shielded from discomfort, so he lets them feel it. If you mess up, he won't jump in to fix it. He'll let the consequences do the talking. He'd rather you crash, burn, and rise stronger than have you lean on him like a life coach who's permanently on call. What most people don't get is this: Sigma males don't hate helping. They hate being dependent on for things people should handle themselves. He refuses to be the hero in someone else's story just because they're too scared to be the main character in their own. When someone asks him to solve their moral confusion, he won't lecture or coddle. He'll give one clear answer and walk away. No hand-holding, no pep talks, no sugarcoating. Grow up or get out of the way. And that's the uncomfortable truth. The Sigma male doesn't care if it makes him look cold. He'd rather be seen as detached than spend his energy propping up people who refuse to stand on their own. If that makes him the bad guy, so be it. At least he's not playing a role that slowly drains a soul, just to keep everyone else emotionally comfortable. 4, he sees leadership as limitation, not freedom. The Sigma male doesn't view leadership as power. He sees it as a cleverly disguised trap. To most people, being in charge looks like freedom, making decisions, calling the shots, having authority. But the Sigma male knows better. He sees the chains behind the title. Endless meetings that waste time. Unrealistic expectations that never stop. Office politics that reward fakeness over results. It's not leadership. It's babysitting with fancier name and more pressure. The moment someone tries to hand him a position of power, he starts counting the ways it's going to cage him. He's allergic to being boxed in. That's why structure feels suffocating. You want him to follow protocol, stick to a schedule, deal with egos and sugarcoat the truth? Not happening. The Sigma male doesn't function on systems built to please committees. He thrives on autonomy, on being able to move in silence, strike when it matters, and disappear without explanation. Traditional leadership strips all of that away. It's not about laziness or fear of responsibility. It's about control, the kind that's internal, not external. When you're at the top, everyone wants something from you. Your time, your energy, your approval. They expect you to show up, smile, play nice, and constantly perform leadership like it's a PR stunt. The Sigma male sees all of that as spiritual clutter. He didn't spend years sharpening himself into a lone weapon just to become someone's emotional mascot in a suit. He wants to be dangerous on his own terms, not accountable to a system that thrives on predictability. You can't be unpredictable when you're tied to structure. You can't be dangerous when every move has to be approved by a boardroom of slow thinkers. The Sigma male would rather roam free with less status than sit on a throne that keeps him shackled to expectations. Let someone else be the face. He'll be the force no one sees coming. To him, freedom is the real power, and leadership, as the world defines it, just another leash with a gold buckle. That's why he steps back, not because he can't lead, but because he refuses to be owned by the very thing that was supposed to make him powerful. 5. He knows most leaders are just talkers with better branding. He knows the game. Most so-called leaders are just good talkers wrapped in shiny packaging. They know how to sell an image, work a room, string together catchy words that sound deep but mean nothing. It's leadership as performance. And the Sigma male has zero patience for it. He doesn't care about charisma or credentials. If there's no substance behind the curtain, he's not impressed. In fact, it turns him off so fast, you'd think he teleported. Watching someone get praised for having executive presence while delivering recycled ideas makes him feel like he's stuck in a world where style has officially murdered substance. And the worst part? The crowd eats it up. They applaud the confidence, ignore the emptiness, and treat the loudest person in the room like a savior. The Sigma male isn't clapping. He's silently calculating how far into the mountains he can disappear without anyone following. It's not that he hates people. It's that he hates how easily they fall for the surface level stuff. Flashy words, big promises, fake humility. It's like everyone's under a spell. Meanwhile, the people with real insights, real depth get overlooked because they don't talk like salespeople. That's why the Sigma male rarely shows his full hand. He knows if he starts speaking, he'll either intimidate people, offend them, not because he's trying to, but because truth doesn't come with sugar on top. He doesn't follow titles. He follows wisdom. If you're in charge but can't hold your own in a real conversation, you've already lost his respect. He doesn't care if you're the CEO, the founder, the director. If you're shallow, he tunes out. He respects thinkers, not performers, doers, not talkers, depth, not decoration. That's why he'll never beg for a leadership role, because he sees how fake most of them are. And the moment he feels like he's expected to fake it too, he mentally checks out, not to sulk, but to protect his energy from being drained by a circus of overhyped pretenders. Let them have the spotlight. He'll take solitude, clarity, and peace over applause any day. 6. He refuses to lead people who won't lead themselves. The Sigma male refuses to lead people who won't lead themselves. And it's not because he thinks he's better than everyone else. It's because he values his energy like gold. He doesn't do motivational speeches, pep talks for people who decided to coast through life. If you can't be bothered to show up for yourself, why should he show up for you? He's not a mentor for the unmotivated. He's not going to chase after potential that's still sleeping in at noon. It's not cruelty. It's boundaries. The Sigma male doesn't waste time dragging people across the finish line when they haven't even laced up their shoes. He's the type to hold the door open, but only once. If you're not paying attention, that door's closing. And he's not explaining why. He believes you either want it or you don't. And if you don't, he moves on, fast, quiet, without guilt. People mistake this for arrogance. It's not. It's ruthless clarity. He's not here to babysit your ambition, micromanage your discipline. He's here to build, grow, evolve. And he only surrounds himself with people who operate at that same frequency. If you need constant encouragement to stay on track, you won't even register on his radar. Not because you're unworthy, but because you're draining. And draining people are his worst nightmare. He respects those who take ownership of their lives. Don't wait to be told what to do. Make things happen without broadcasting it. That's who he notices. That's who he listens to. Everyone else? Background noise. He's not rude about it. He's just attached. And if that hurts your feelings, he'd argue that maybe your feelings are the problem, not his standards. Leadership to him isn't about dragging people to the top. It's about moving at a high level and letting those who are serious enough rise with him. If you're not doing the work, you're not in the room. It's that simple. He's not here to convince anyone to rise. He's here to rise. And if you can't keep up, don't expect him to slow down. Final section in next message. 7. He knows leadership corrupts faster than failure. The Sigma male understands something most don't. Leadership corrupts faster than failure. And that's exactly why he keeps his distance from the spotlight. He isn't scared of pressure or responsibility. He's scared of what power does to people who stop checking themselves. He's seen it too many times. Someone gets a title, a little authority. Suddenly, they think they're the second coming of genius. They talk more than they listen, believe their own hype, surround themselves with yes men, mistake fear for respect. That's the kind of route the Sigma male wants no part of. He's too self-aware to fall for that ego trap. He doesn't need external worship, because he's already brutally honest with himself in private. He sees his flaws, owns his weaknesses, calls himself out before anyone else can. That's the inner system he trusts, not applause, not recognition, not a fancy title. He knows the moment he starts feeding off attention, he's finished. Because power doesn't just attract followers, it attracts blind spots. And that terrifies him more than failure ever could. He would rather stay in the background, sharpen himself in silence, than risk becoming one of those delusional leaders who think their opinion is fact. Just because people clap when they talk. He doesn't want worship. He wants clarity. He doesn't want control. He wants freedom from needing it. That's the paradox most don't understand about Sigma males. They're not humble because it's fashionable. They're humble because their inner world has no space for lies, even flattering ones. Failure humbles people. Leadership inflates them beyond repair. And the Sigma male is way too focused on real growth to get high off status. If anything, the idea of being idolized makes his skin crawl. He knows how quickly admiration turns into delusion. And when people start treating you like you can do no wrong, that's when you start making the worst decisions of your life. So he keeps his ego on a leash, his circle tight. He'd rather destroy his own illusions than be surrounded by people too afraid to challenge him. In a world where everyone wants to be the boss, he's the rare one who wants to stay human. That's why he's dangerous. Not because he leads, but because he knows when not to. Final thought. The Sigma male doesn't want to be a leader. He wants to be a force. The Sigma male doesn't crave the spotlight because he is the fire behind it. He's not here to manage egos, kiss hands, play the politics of power. He leads by essence, not by effort. He doesn't need a title, a round of applause, a seat at the table. He builds a damn table, then vanishes before anyone thinks to carve his name into it. The truth? He was born with the instincts, clarity, and vision that most self-proclaimed leaders only pretend to have. But the reason he hates being in charge is simple. He knows true leadership is often buried under red tape, empty praise, people who expect to be spoon-fed. He doesn't have time to babysit mediocrity. He's too busy becoming the kind of man even kings watch in silence. So when people ask, why isn't he leading? They've missed the point. He already is, just not in the way the world expects. He leads without noise, builds without needing credit, influences without lifting a finger. That's not just leadership. That's legacy in motion. Silent, relentless, untouchable. If this is different, do you resonate with the ideas I shared in this video? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you're interested in more content about Sigma males, explore the other videos on this channel. Thanks for watching.